The story of light begins always with the dawn. When mortals lift their eyes from the shadows of the long night, when the first gold spills gently across the horizon, there is a moment that belongs to silence. The world holds its breath. Dew clings to leaves, rivers glow with the faintest fire, and even the air seems reborn. That moment, that turning from darkness to warmth, belongs to Lathander, the Morninglord. In the vast pantheon of Faerûn, where gods contend for dominion over death, war, trickery, or fate, Lathander stands not with clenched fist, but with open hand. He is the god of dawn, renewal, creativity, and vitality. He is not only a deity of beginnings, but of every beginning, great and small. The rising of the sun, the first step upon a journey, the moment a brush touches canvas, or the fragile cry of a newborn child, all of these are his domain. Many names follow him through history. He is called the Morninglord, for he is the herald of the day's first light. Some name him the rose and gold god, for his symbol is the dawn itself, often painted as a sunburst of crimson edged in gold, or as a rose just opening in the morning. Others whisper titles more intimate. The bringer of hope, Lord of first chances, he who guides the young. In each name there's a warmth, a reassurance, a promise that no matter how deep the night, the day will come again. The place he holds in the pantheon is not of dominance or fear. Lathander is rarely a tyrant in the myths, rarely a conqueror. Instead, he is a constant presence, a god whose power is felt not in the rare and terrible moments, but in every ordinary dawn. Mortals may forget him in the brightness of noon or the distractions of twilight, but at daybreak, when colors spill gently over the horizon, they remember. In that light, hope feels natural. In that glow, renewal feels inevitable. Where others speak of death as a great equalizer, Lathander speaks of life as an endless cycle of renewal. Even endings are not final. A harvest is not loss, but a promise that seeds will sprout again. A sunset is not death, but the folding of light into the horizon, soon to rise anew. For Lathander, to end is only to begin again. Artists and poets often describe him not with words of fear or strict doctrine, but with sensations. They say that when he is near, the air itself feels brighter. The skin warms as though kissed by a gentle Sunday. The heart feels lighter, as though burdens are still present, but easier to bear. Dreams come softer, colored by dawn. His presence is both awe-inspiring and tender, as though one walks into a garden at first light, hearing birds stir and flowers open. Lathander's priests, the Morninglords, often tell stories to children about his origin. They say he's the eternal sunrise, a being born not once, but always, every day reborn as the sun crests the horizon. They say he is older than memory, yet younger than every moment. Some theologians argue whether Lathander is distinct from Amonator, the stern sun god of law and order, or whether he is a new dawn upon Amonator's fading flame. But for the common folk, such debates matter little. To them, Lathander is simply the sunrise itself, the daily gift that proves no night lasts forever. It is easy to understand why so many cling to him. In times of despair, when kingdoms crumble or wars leave fields empty, hope can feel fragile. But Lathander whispers that hope is not gone. It may sleep, it may wait beneath the soil, but it will return. Always, it will return. And so he is not only worshipped by kings and priests, but by farmers who rise early to greet the day, by lovers who watch the horizon together, by artists who wait for the first slant of light across their canvas, by adventurers who set forth at dawn, believing that the Morninglord walks beside them. When we speak of Lathander, we speak not only of godhood, but of feeling. We speak of that first breath after sorrow, when something inside says it is time to try again. We speak of the courage to begin, even after failure. We speak of the fragile joy of mourning. Lathander does not promise that trials will vanish or that pain will never come. Even the most faithful suffer, but he does promise this, that every suffering, every fall, every ending contains within it the seed of renewal, that even if today is hard, tomorrow will rise. And so, in the great chorus of gods and goddesses, Lathander's voice is gentle yet enduring. He does not shout above the storm. He is the light that comes after, warming the earth, drying the tears, reminding mortals that life is worth trying again. When one kneels in his temples, or lifts their eyes at dawn, it is not fear that fills the heart, but a steady quietness, a sense that the world is still good, still turning, still alive. He is the Morninglord. He is renewal. He is the promise that no night is endless. And as long as mortals look to the east, they will see him rise. The teachings of Lathander are like the sunrise itself, soft, steady, and inevitable. They do not crash down like storms or demand obedience with the harsh clang of iron. Instead, they warm slowly, seeping into hearts with patience, reminding mortals of truths they already know but often forget. Above all, Lathander teaches hope. Hope is not a fleeting dream for him. It is a discipline. It is a choice. To look at a field barren after harvest, and to trust that life will bloom again. To stand at the edge of a battle's ruin and whisper that tomorrow there will be rebuilding. To face the longest night of sorrow and believe, against all despair, that dawn will come. In this way, hope is not passive. It is active. A constant turning of the heart toward light, even when shadows press close. His faithful often say that to follow Lathander is to rise every morning, no matter how heavy the body or spirit feels. Closely tied to hope is his lesson of renewal. To renew is not only to restore, but to begin again. Just as the seasons turn, so too does the soul. Failures are not final. Mistakes are not eternal. A seed must die before it sprouts anew. So too must mortals sometimes let go of what was in order to step into what can be. This teaching has comforted many. The soldier who lays down arms to become a healer, the widow who finds love again after loss, the artist who begins once more after burning a ruined canvas. Renewal does not erase pain, but it transforms it, shaping endings into beginnings. His priests often repeat the phrase, "Every dawn is a chance." It is a simple sentence, yet it carries weight. For those burdened by regret, it whispers forgiveness. For those weary of routine, it promises change. For those afraid of the future, it assures that tomorrow can be different from today. Another of Lathander's central teachings is the sanctity of beginnings. He is present at every first step. The first cry of a newborn is his blessing. The first stroke of paint upon a blank canvas is his inspiration. The first kiss of two lovers at dawn is his gentle joy. The first brick laid in a wall, the first word spoken in a story, the first step upon a long road, all are sacred. To the Morninglord, beginnings carry a holy power, for they hold within them infinite possibility. Even if the end is uncertain, the beginning itself is a miracle. Thus, his faithful cherish rituals of firsts. They bless new homes, new ships, new songs, and new journeys. They honor fresh starts, knowing that every great work is born of a first small act. Lathander also embodies optimism. To be optimistic is not to be naive, nor to ignore the reality of hardship. Rather, it is to look hardship in the eye and still believe it can be endured. The optimism of the Morninglord is not shallow cheer, but a deep well of trust in life's resilience. His clergy often remind their congregations, the sun does not deny the night, it simply rises after. In this way, optimism is not denial, but courage. His doctrine often speaks of cycles. Life is not linear, but circular. Death is not an end, but a turning. Even the stars move in cycles. The moon waxes and wanes. The seasons shift and return. For Lathander, every cycle is a reassurance. What has been lost will find form again. What has ended will rise in a new shape. This is why his faith brings comfort to mourners. When a loved one dies, the priest of Lathander does not speak only of sorrow, but of the soul's renewal that death is a dusk which precedes a dawn yet unseen. For adventurers, his cycle speaks to resilience. Wounds heal. Failures can be redeemed. Even the deepest dungeon has an exit, even if it must be carved. Yet Lathander's teachings are not only about comfort. They are also about challenge. He does not allow complacency. To follow the Morninglord is to accept that each dawn is also a demand. Rise. Begin again. Do not cling to yesterday when today calls you forward. Renewal requires courage. To step into beginnings often means to leave behind what is safe, what is known. In this way, his doctrine carries both gentleness and strength. It comforts the weary, but it also pushes the stagnant. It whispers, "You are not finished. You may try again." And woven throughout his philosophy is the theme of creativity. Lathander delights in creation not only of life, but of art, of beauty, of innovation. A potter shaping clay, a minstrel composing song, a child stacking stones into a tower, all of these are sacred in his eyes. Creation is renewal made visible. To bring something new into the world, no matter how small, is to echo the dawn itself. Thus, his followers often include artists, inventors, and dreamers. They believe their craft is not only personal expression, but devotion. To create is to worship. When mortals interpret his light, they describe it in many ways. Farmers say it is the warmth that makes crops grow. Warriors say it is the strength to rise for another battle. Poets say it is the glow that inspires verse. Healers say it is the life that flows through blood and bone. Parents say it is the love they feel when they first hold a child. For each, his light becomes what they most need. That is, his gift, his radiance, is both universal and personal, shaping itself to each soul. In this way, his teachings do not bind mortals to rigid law. They invite each person to see renewal in their own life, to seek beginnings in their own way. And always, his philosophy circles back to one truth. No night is endless, no despair eternal. The dawn will rise, and with it, so can you. When mortals speak of gods, they often argue about shape. Did Tyr wear his blindfold always, or only in stories? Did Mystra's eyes truly shine like stars, or is that only metaphor? With Lathander, such debates matter little. For Lathander is not a single form, not a single face, but an experience. He is, before anything else, light. Not harsh light, not burning flame, but the golden radiance of dawn. His presence is the slow brightening of the sky, the way shadows soften before they vanish, the way the air itself seems painted in hues of rose and gold. To dream of Lathander is often to wake bathed in such light, as though the sun itself has bent close to whisper encouragement. Those who have seen visions of him describe a tall, graceful figure surrounded by this living radiance. His skin glows with the warmth of early morning. His eyes shine as though two suns were rising. His hair, some say, is golden like wheat. Others claim it is flame red, like sunrise clouds. His garments are robes woven of shifting colors, rose, crimson, orange, and gold, flowing and blending like the horizon at daybreak. His aura is overwhelming, yet never cruel. To stand in his presence is to feel one's weariness melt away. Priests say their bones feel lighter, their hearts more resilient, their spirits infused with quiet joy. It is not an ecstasy that burns, but a gentleness that lingers. When he chooses to manifest more subtly, he often appears not as a man at all, but as symbols of the dawn. A single ray of sunlight breaking through clouds, a rose opening in the first warmth of morning, its petals trembling with dew. A child's laughter at sunrise, heard faintly on the wind, or even a gentle glow around a weary traveler, enough to guide them safely to shelter. For Lathander does not always need grandeur to be known. He is as much in the smallest kindness as in the brightest sunday. Among his most beloved symbols is the rose. Why a rose? Some say because the flower itself embodies renewal closed tightly at night, opening in the morning. Others say it is for its beauty, fragile yet resilient, thorns hidden among softness. The Morninglord's rose is usually painted in warm red or gold, often surrounded by rays of sunlight. Priests sometimes wear fresh roses at their belts during rituals, a living reminder of beauty and renewal. In temples, his image is often represented by a golden sunburst. Sometimes the sunburst contains a rose at its center, symbolizing that beauty blossoms within light. In other depictions, the sunburst alone shines across walls of stained glass or woven tapestries. Always, it is the dawn sun that defines him, never the burning noon or the fading dusk. He is the first light, the promise of the day ahead. When he speaks, and few mortals can claim to have heard his voice directly, it is described not as words, but as the feeling of sunrise. The warmth across the face, the gentle stirring of the wind, the sudden clarity of thought that comes in early morning stillness. Some say his words are like music, rising and swelling as though choirs sang from the edge of the world. Others say it is simply the quiet conviction within, a thought that is not theirs but feels like hope. Manifestations of Lathander are often deeply personal. A farmer may feel his presence in the strength of new crops after a bitter winter. An artist may feel him in the sudden spark of inspiration before dawn. A grieving mother may see his light in the smile of a child. These moments are no less divine than visions of shining figures. For the Morninglord prefers to come where he is most needed. Still, legends speak of more dramatic appearances. It is said that in times of dire darkness, when undead plague the land or shadows rise without end, Lathander's light may break forth in full glory. Entire battlefields have been flooded in sudden dawn, blinding creatures of night and strengthening the righteous. Priests call this miracle the morning's glory. To be bathed in such radiance is to feel invincible for a breath of time, a glimpse of the world as it might be if hope always prevailed. Yet even in such miracles, there is no arrogance. Lathander's light does not scream, does not demand worship by fear. It simply illuminates. And in that illumination, mortals remember that they are capable of more than they believed. Many followers carry small sunburst pendants of gold or brass. To hold one at dawn, feeling it warm as the sun rises, is to remember that Lathander's presence is never far. His faithful often say, "Where the sun rises, so too does the Morninglord." Artists throughout Faerûn have painted countless depictions of him, yet none agree on a single face. Some paint him youthful, smiling, with eyes bright as spring. Others paint him ageless, serene, a fatherly warmth in his gaze. Still others depict only the sunrise itself, believing that to try and give him a human form is to limit what cannot be limited. And perhaps that is his truth. He is not one face, but every sunrise. When we imagine him, it need not be the same from one day to the next. For just as dawn is always familiar yet always unique, so too is the Morninglord. Close your eyes and picture it. The air is cool, the world still dim. Then the horizon glows faintly, a line of gold spreading slow. Pink clouds drift like brush strokes. Birds stir with tentative notes. The grass glitters with dew. And then warmth. Light spills over the land, touches your skin, and suddenly you feel awake. Not just the body, but the soul itself. That moment is Lathander's face. That warmth is his hand upon your shoulder. That first breath in the light is his voice, whispering, "Begin again." If Lathander is the dawn, then his faithful are the choir that greets it. Wherever the first light touches the land, you may find his followers lifting their faces to the sky, murmuring prayers, or simply standing in silence as the sun crests the horizon. Some are priests in robes of rose and gold. Others are farmers in plain tunics, children rubbing sleep from their eyes, or weary travelers on the road. All are united not by uniform, but by a shared turning toward light. The most devoted of his clergy are known as the Morninglords. They are priests, healers, singers, and teachers who dedicate their lives to embodying Lathander's philosophy. Their robes are often of warm hues, crimson, pink, gold, or white, echoing the colors of dawn. Around their necks or at their belts, they carry sunburst pendants, sometimes plain brass, sometimes ornate gold set with a rose motif. These are not just adornments, but reminders. Every moment of their day is meant to radiate the same renewal that the Morninglord brings. Morninglords begin each day the same way, at dawn. When the first light spills across the sky, they gather sometimes in grand temples, sometimes in small chapels, sometimes upon hillsides where the horizon is clear. They sing hymns as the sun rises, voices weaving in harmonies that sound like warmth itself. The songs are rarely complicated. Often they are simple chants repeated slowly, calming the mind and opening the heart. Those present describe the feeling not as performance, but as participation in the dawn itself. The rising sun becomes more than light. It becomes a living presence, a daily miracle. In their prayers, Morninglords rarely ask for wealth, victory, or power. Instead, they ask for renewal, strength to begin again, courage to face challenges, and creativity to bring beauty into the world. They ask that their communities flourish like gardens, that the sick find vitality, that the grieving discover hope. Among his faithful, the most common phrase is, "Each dawn is a gift. Use it well." Temples of Lathander reflect this spirit. They are not built to intimidate with stone bulk or towering walls. Instead, they are open, radiant, and filled with light. Windows of stained glass are positioned to catch the first rays of sunrise, flooding the interior with warm hues of rose, gold, and crimson. High ceilings often open into skylights or domes, so that the faithful can look directly upon the dawn without obstruction. Gardens bloom around or even inside these temples, tended carefully so that flowers open with the morning light. Roses in particular are common, for they are sacred to the Morninglord. One might enter a temple of Lathander and find not silence, but gentle music. Harps and flutes play softly. Choirs practice dawn hymns. Children laugh in courtyards. These are not places of dread. They are places of joy. Morninglords are often beloved in their communities, not only for their teachings, but for their acts of service. They tend to the sick with healing magic. They bless fields at planting. They sanctify marriages with prayers of renewal. They comfort the grieving with words of hope. For them, faith is not only in temples, but in daily life, woven into every beginning and every act of care. Yet they are not idle dreamers. To follow Lathander is to believe in action. Hope must be lived, not only spoken. Thus, many priests of the Morninglord are also builders, artists, or teachers. They are active in their towns and cities, creating beauty, guiding the young, and uplifting the weary. Morninglords are also defenders against decay. For while Lathander is a god of renewal, he despises stagnation and corruption. His clergy often oppose undead, for what is undeath but a refusal of the natural cycle of endings and beginnings? They see such creatures as a perversion of dawn's promise, shadows that deny the light. Thus, many adventuring clerics of Lathander take joy in turning undead, their holy symbols blazing like the first rays of sunrise. Common folk see his priests as approachable. They are not cloaked in mystery, nor stern with law. Instead, they smile easily, encourage often, and remind even the humblest laborer that their work is sacred if done with hope. To plant a seed, to write a song, to comfort a child, these are acts of devotion as holy as prayer. Among the clergy, there is a phrase, "We are the keepers of first steps." It means that their role is to guide others into beginnings, to stand beside them at the start of their journeys. They bless travelers as they set forth. They encourage apprentices at their first lessons. They bless homes being built, ships being launched, gardens being planted. For them, every first step is sacred, and they walk alongside those who take it. Even outside temples, his faithful carry their devotion quietly. Some wear roses pinned to their cloaks. Others pause every morning to face the sunrise, whispering thanks before beginning the day. For them, worship is not confined to rituals. It is a way of living, to embody renewal, to offer encouragement, to greet each day as holy. His clergy are not without challenges. Hope can be difficult to hold when the world is cruel. Renewal can feel impossible when war and famine spread. Morninglords often struggle with their own despair, yet it is in these moments that their faith shines brightest. They remind themselves and others, even the darkest night cannot prevent the dawn. Those who have walked beside Morninglords often describe them as lanterns in human form. They are not perfect, nor immune to sorrow, but they carry light wherever they go, small and steady. And in a world filled with shadows, such light is priceless. And so, the faithful of Lathander rise with the sun, live with joy, and teach that beginnings are worth honoring. Their temples glow, their songs soothe, and their service comforts. Through them, mortals see not only a god, but a way of being, to live with open hands, to rise again, to greet each day as though it were the first. Faith in Lathander is lived not only in temples, but in the rhythm of each day. His worship is less about rigid doctrine and more about moments. The breath at sunrise, the courage to begin again, the blessing of new life. And so his rituals are gentle, yet deeply moving like dawn itself. Quiet, yet transformative. The most important ritual of all is the morning prayer. Each dawn, as the first light rises, his faithful gather wherever the horizon can be seen. It may be on a temple balcony, upon a hill, at the edge of a village field, or even beside a simple window where the first rays enter. They lift their faces toward the east and begin to sing or chant softly, greeting the sun as it rises. The hymns are slow, melodic, and repetitive, designed not to stir frenzy, but to lull the soul into calm focus. To listen to such prayers is to hear voices flowing like light, each syllable resonating like a heartbeat. Sometimes bells are rung, their tones soft and warm, echoing the glow of the Sunday. Morninglords raise their hands as the sun crests, offering thanks. For this dawn, for this chance, for this gift, we give praise. The ritual is simple, but for the faithful, it is profound. Every day becomes an opportunity renewed. Some priests speak of the first light blessing. As dawn breaks, they let the sun's rays fall upon their faces, eyes closed, breathing deeply. They believe that in that moment, Lathander himself touches them, filling their spirit with new strength. Many adventurers who worship him carry this practice, pausing at sunrise to receive the Morninglord's light before continuing their travels. Beyond daily prayer, Lathander's clergy preside over many rites of renewal. Births are celebrated as sacred dawns. A newborn child is lifted in the first light of the day, a priest whispering blessings of vitality and joy. Sometimes, a rose petal is placed in the child's hand, a symbol of beauty unfolding. Parents are reminded, this life is a sunrise. May it rise bright. Marriages are held at dawn whenever possible. Couples join hands as the sun rises, exchanging vows beneath its glow. Morninglords speak of marriage not as a binding chain, but as a shared journey renewed with each daybreak. The vows often include the phrase, "As the sun returns, so will I return to you." Creative undertakings are blessed with ceremonies of inspiration. When an artist begins a great work, a sculptor shaping marble, a bard composing an epic, a mason raising a tower, a Morninglord may stand beside them at sunrise, offering prayers for clarity, perseverance, and beauty. They sprinkle water kissed by dawn across tools or canvases, sanctifying creation itself. Journeys begin with dawn blessings. Travelers kneel while a priest marks their foreheads with a sunburst in rose oil, whispering words of protection. The blessing often concludes with the phrase, "Step forth as though it is the first step of the world." One of the most beloved rituals is the Rite of Morning Song. This ceremony is held communally at times of renewal, the first day of spring, the dedication of a new temple, or after a great tragedy when hope must be restored. At dawn, entire communities gather. Choirs sing slowly as the sun rises, and the people light hundreds of small lanterns, each symbolizing a personal new beginning. The lanterns are released into rivers or sent into the sky, glowing softly as dawn grows brighter. To see them drift is to watch hundreds of prayers float into the Morninglord's light. Villagers often whisper their hopes aloud before releasing the lantern. Forgiveness, courage, healing, or love. It is said that Lathander hears them all, for he is not a god of distant judgment, but of intimate renewal. Another important ceremony is the Rite of Rebirth. This is performed when someone seeks to begin life anew, leaving behind old sins, failures, or grief. At dawn, the supplicant stands before the rising sun, often barefoot, clad in simple white. A priest anoints them with water drawn at first light, and they speak words of release, letting go of what has passed, opening to what will come. Sometimes, the rite includes symbolic acts, breaking bread and scattering the pieces, burning old garments, or planting seeds in fresh soil. Each act represents the truth that endings become beginnings. Those who undergo the Rite of Rebirth often describe it as a profound turning point, as if the weight of night has finally lifted. For the dead, Lathander's faithful offer funeral dawns. While Lathander is not a god of death, his cycle of renewal embraces endings. At funerals, the body of the deceased is laid where it can face the rising sunday. As dawn breaks, the priest prays. As the sun rises beyond the horizon we see, so too does this soul rise into light beyond our knowing. Sometimes a rose is placed upon the chest of the departed, symbolizing both beauty and the promise of new life beyond death. Those left behind are comforted with the assurance that dusk is never final, that the soul journeys into a greater dawn. There are also small, daily rituals that fill the lives of his faithful, lighting a single candle at dawn, letting it burn until the sun is high, placing a fresh flower, often a rose, upon a windowsill each morning, whispering a prayer before beginning work. As the sun begins, so do I. Pausing at twilight to thank the Morninglord for the gift of the day just past, trusting that dawn will come again. Such small acts transform ordinary life into a liturgy of renewal. Lathander's rituals are also deeply tied to the arts. His priests encourage painting, sculpture, poetry, music, any act of creation as worship. Some temples hold seasonal festivals where communities gather to create together. Murals are painted, songs performed, gardens planted. The joy of creation itself is seen as devotion. In these festivals, it is common for each person to present a work at dawn, no matter how small. A child may bring a drawing, a farmer may weave flowers into a garland, an elder may recite a poem. All are honored, for creation is not about mastery, but about beginning. The ceremonies of the Morninglord are woven with emotion. They are gentle, often joyful, sometimes bittersweet, but always filled with the assurance that life renews. Whether one is celebrating birth, mourning death, beginning a journey, or seeking forgiveness, the rituals turn the gaze toward the east, toward beginnings, toward hope. To witness them is to feel that life, however fragile, is never without promise. To participate in them is to feel the warmth of dawn, not only on the skin, but within the heart. Every god carries stories, and in Faerûn, stories are as sacred as scripture. They are told in hushed whispers before sleep, sung in temples at dawn, or carved into the walls of chapels where stained glass glows with morning light. The myths of Lathander are countless, each colored by the teller, yet all share the same heartbeat. The triumph of dawn over darkness, of beginnings over endings. The most ancient tale told by his priests speaks of the first dawn. In the beginning, there was only endless twilight, a world caught between starlight and shadow, where nothing ever grew or ended. The gods quarreled in that stillness, each claiming dominion, yet life could not flourish without change. It is said that from the longing of the earth itself, a light rose. It was not fierce, not sudden, but gentle aglow upon the horizon. That glow became Lathander. With his rising, shadows lifted, and the world saw morning for the first time. Plants unfurled, rivers sparkled, creatures stirred from slumber. The cycle of night and day was born. Some priests whisper that this story is more than myth, that Lathander is not merely a god among gods, but the living embodiment of the dawn itself, eternal and ever new. Another tale, beloved among adventurers, tells of a time when the land was swallowed by undead. A lich of unspeakable power raised armies of corpses, blotting out hope itself. Villages fell silent, fields withered, and even the stars seemed dimmed by despair. It was then, the priests say, that Lathander rose, not as a distant light, but as a warrior of radiance. His form was a blazing sun, his eyes two burning horizons. With each step, darkness recoiled. With each word, corpses crumbled into dust. At the heart of the Lich's fortress, where no dawn had touched for centuries, Lathander shone his full glory. The Lich shrieked, shadows writhed, but light pierced every stone. When the walls crumbled, morning flooded the land, and life bloomed once more. The tale ends with a simple truth. No darkness, however endless it seems, can deny the dawn forever. There's a gentler myth, often told to children. It says that once, in ages past, there was a mortal maiden who despaired. Her love had died in war. Her fields lay barren, and she prayed not for riches nor vengeance, but only for a reason to rise from bed each morning. Lathander heard her. At dawn, a single rose bloomed outside her window, its petals golden with dew. She wept at its beauty. Every morning after, a new rose appeared, each more radiant than the last. Slowly, her heart renewed. She planted gardens, she taught her neighbors hope, and she became known as the Rose Mother of her village. When she died, the roses bloomed still, and her soul rose with them into Lathander's light. Priests say the roses of dawn are reminders of this story, proof that even the smallest beauty can renew the spirit. Among scholars, one of the most debated legends is the Dawn Cataclysm, a great upheaval in divine history. In ancient times, it is said, Lathander sought to remake the pantheon itself, to cleanse corruption and bring a new age of hope. His radiance surged too brightly, and in the struggle, gods were unmade, powers broken, and balance shattered. The details are murky. Some say it was pride that drove him, that in seeking to create perfection, he nearly destroyed creation. Others argue it was courage, that he alone dared to challenge the stagnation of gods who clung to old power. Whatever the truth, the Dawn Cataclysm remains a wound in divine memory. For some, it is a cautionary tale. Even dawn may burn too fiercely. For others, it is proof that renewal is never without risk, that true beginnings often demand upheaval. Priests rarely speak of it openly, preferring the gentler myths, but adventurers whisper it with awe, for it reminds them that even gods struggle, even gods risk failure, yet still, the dawn comes. Another tale tells of Lathander's bond with Chantia, the Great Mother, goddess of agriculture. Where she nurtures the earth, he brings the light that lets it grow. The stories say that when the two walk together, fields flourish beyond measure, orchards overflow, and rivers run sweet. Some myths tell of a romance between them, a love as steady as the cycle of seasons. Others tell of quarrels, for Lathander is ever renewing, while Chanti treasures the lasting and enduring. Yet whether lovers, allies, or simply companions in purpose, their tales always end with a world thriving under their shared care. There is also a tale of devotion, often told among paladins. A knight, weary from endless battle, fell upon his knees in a ruined chapel. His sword was broken, his faith dimmed, his heart heavy. He prayed not for victory, but only for strength to rise one more time. At dawn, as light filtered through the broken roof, Lathander appeared in silence. He touched the knight's brow, and warmth filled him. His sword, cracked and useless, glowed with golden fire and was made whole. The knight rose, his weariness lifted. From that day, he never again needed sleep, for wherever dawn touched him, he was renewed. He became known as the Sleepless Knight, a champion of the Morninglord, whose vigil ended only in death. These stories, whether whispered to children, sung by choirs, or debated by scholars, all share the same essence. They remind mortals that despair is never final, that beauty returns, that courage can rise again. The myths of Lathander are not meant only to glorify him, but to inspire mortals to live as he teaches, to begin, to renew, to rise after falling. When the faithful hear these tales, they do not think only of gods and ancient battles. They think of their own lives, the griefs they have endured, the mornings they have risen despite sorrow, the seeds they have planted in hope. In this way, myth becomes mirror, for every dawn is a legend. Every sunrise is a story told again. And Lathander, eternal and ever new, is the storyteller who never tires, whispering, "Look, child, see, the light returns. No god exists in solitude. The pantheon of Faerûn is a great constellation of powers, each shining with their own light, each casting their own shadow. And like stars, the gods form constellations together, alliances, rivalries, bonds of love and tension. Lathander, the Morninglord, is no exception. His place among the divine is shaped not only by his own radiance, but by the way it touches, or clashes with, the powers around him. Perhaps the most enduring bond is with Sanctity, goddess of agriculture and the living earth. Where she is the soil, he is the Sunday. Where she nurtures life, he awakens it. The two are often spoken of in tandem, their powers woven like root and light. Priests tell stories of their companionship, and sometimes their love. Together, they walk through fields, Sanctity scattering seeds, Lathander warming them into bloom. Together, they watch over villages, she providing the harvest, he ensuring its growth. In this union, mortals see the balance of life itself, earth and light, soil and Sunday. Yet even this bond carries tension. Sanctity values stability and endurance, the slow growth of cycles across centuries. Lathander, ever the herald of beginnings, seeks renewal, change, and constant rebirth. Where she treasures the continuity of traditions, he whispers of new chances, new creations. At times, their philosophies clash, but always, their love of life unites them. Perhaps the most complicated of Lathander's relationships is with Morninglord, the ancient god of the sun, law, and order. To scholars, the question remains, are they two gods, distinct and separate? Or are they two faces of the same divine truth, the stern sun of judgment and the gentle dawn of renewal? Some myths say that Lathander is the youthful rebirth of Morninglord, risen from the ashes of his fading glory. Others claim he is his son, or rival, or successor. In truth, the relationship is layered like the phases of the sun itself. Morninglord represents noon, blazing, unwavering, stern in his justice. His light is law, unyielding, without shadow. Lathander is dawn, soft, forgiving, filled with possibility. His light is hope, inviting, transformative. To mortals, both are necessary. Without law, hope can drift. Without renewal, law can stagnate. And so, the tension between them remains unresolved, like the endless cycle of day. Among their faithful, debates still flare. Some temples claim both are aspects of the same eternal Sunday. Others insist that Lathander is new, free from Morninglord's sternness. For the weary, such arguments matter little for dawn and noon alike. The sun still shines. Lathander shares a kindred spirit with Sune. Where she is beauty and passion, he is renewal and creativity. Together, their faiths intertwine in art, music, and celebration. Many temples of Sune and Lathander stand near one another, and their faithful often share festivals, honoring love at dawn and beauty at twilight. It is said that when artists pray, they often do not know whether their inspiration comes from Lathander's light or Sune's flame, and perhaps it does not matter, for both delight in creation, in the flourishing of life and love. Among the gods of justice and protection, Torm, Tyr, and Ilmater, Lathander finds strong allies. His optimism resonates with their dedication to righteousness. Where they uphold law and justice, he brings hope to sustain those who serve. Adventurers often see Lathander as a companion to Tyr's stern justice, the one who reminds paladins and knights not only of their duty, but of the joy worth defending. Together, they form a balance of law, compassion, and hope. Selûne, goddess of the moon and night's gentle light, holds a natural bond with Lathander. She governs the stars and moon, the quiet beauty of twilight, while he brings the sun that follows. Between them is a cosmic dance. She soothes the world into slumber. He awakens it into life. Some see them as siblings, others as eternal companions. Their followers often share festivals of dawn and dusk, honoring both transitions. To worship one is not to deny the other, but to see both sides of the same cycle: rest and renewal, night and morning. Lathander's greatest conflicts are with gods who represent stagnation, death without renewal, and corruption. He opposes Shar, goddess of darkness and loss, whose shadow seeks to smother hope. Where she whispers that endings are absolute, he declares that endings are only beginnings. Their struggle is eternal, the promise of dawn against the void of despair. He despises Merkle, god of death, and all powers who twist the natural cycle into mockery. To Lathander, undeath is the most profound blasphemy, not the peace of death, but the denial of renewal. His light burns strongest against such shadows. Many of his myths recount battles where his radiance scatters the walking dead, returning them to dust. Even Cyric, the Prince of Lies, finds himself at odds with the Morninglord. Where Cyric spreads betrayal and madness, Lathander answers with trust and clarity. To follow Lathander is to believe in truth and renewal. To follow Cyric is to despair in chaos. Their faiths rarely mingle. With Mystra, goddess of magic, and Ogma, god of knowledge, Lathander shares bonds of creativity. For where there is learning and invention, there is renewal. Priests of the Morninglord often work beside scholars and wizards, believing that each spell discovered, each truth uncovered, is another dawn for the mind. When we step back, we see that Lathander's relationships reflect the sun itself. He rises with Siluni's fading night. He walks beside Chanti in the fields. He inspires with Sune's beauty, strengthens with Tyr's justice, and renews with Mistra's discovery. He opposes Shar's darkness, Merkle's corruption, and Cyric's lies. And always, he circles Amonator, the debate of dawn and noon unresolved. In this way, his divine life mirrors his philosophy, a cycle of beginnings, tensions, and renewals. His friendships are deep, his rivalries fierce, yet in all he brings the same truth. Dawn always follows. For mortals, these divine relationships are not distant myths, but reflections of life. They remind us that even gods struggle with balance. They remind us that light and shadow, love and tension, stability and change all are woven together. To worship Lathander is to stand not apart from this tapestry, but within it. It is to greet each god as part of a larger dawn, each struggle as part of renewal. And when we look to the horizon at first light, we are reminded that even in divine quarrels, the sun still rises. To follow Lathander is not only to pray at dawn, but to walk through spaces shaped by his light. His temples, his shrines, his holy places are scattered across Faerûn, glowing like lanterns across the land. They are not fortresses of stone, nor towers of intimidation, but sanctuaries of warmth, filled with color and music, gardens and windows, crafted so that every visitor feels the touch of the morning. Step inside a temple of the Morninglord, and you will first notice the windows. They are wide, tall, and always turned eastward. When the first rays of dawn break, the light floods the interior, scattering across polished marble, gilded walls, and carved wood. Stained glass glows in rose and gold, painting the floor in colors that move as the sun rises higher. To witness this is to feel as though the temple itself awakens with the day. The architecture is elegant, but never oppressive. High ceilings arch like the sky itself. Open courtyards let air and light pour freely. Flowers bloom in gardens both outside and within, tended carefully by the faithful. Roses climb columns, lilies float in reflecting pools, and trees stretch toward skylights. At the center of many temples stands the altar of dawn. A polished stone or simple golden disc, it is placed so that at sunrise the first beam of light strikes it directly. Upon this altar, priests place offerings, freshly cut flowers, bread still warm from ovens, cups of clear water, and candles lit to mirror the glow of the Sunday. Music fills these spaces. Harps and flutes play softly. Choirs rehearse dawn hymns. The sound is not overwhelming, but gentle, like the murmur of a stream. Some temples even keep fountains within their walls, so that the sound of running water mingles with song and light. Not all temples are grand. In small villages, a shrine to Lathander may be little more than a stone archway, open to the east, with a single rose bush planted beside it. Farmers gather there at dawn, offering prayers before beginning their work. Children laugh as they scatter petals in the wind. Even the simplest chapels carry his presence, for what matters most is that the dawn can be seen. Beyond temples, there are places in the world where Lathander's light is set to shine more strongly, places of pilgrimage, where his faithful travel to feel renewal in their very bones. The morning gardens of Waterdeep. High on a hill in the great city, these gardens are filled with flowers that bloom only at sunrise. At dawn, hundreds gather to watch petals open as the sun spills over the city walls. Priests say the gardens are blessed by Lathander himself, who once walked there in radiant form. The sunken chapel of Elturel. Beneath the city lies a chapel said to be lit by a ray of dawn that pierces even the earth. The faithful journey below to stand in that single shaft of golden light, believing it cleanses sorrow and renews courage. The Rose Cathedral of Suzail. A vast temple filled with stained glass, each window depicting roses in bloom. When dawn shines through, the entire hall becomes a field of light, colors shifting as though flowers swayed in the wind. Pilgrims weep openly here, overwhelmed by beauty. The horizon's edge, a cliff overlooking the sea, where the sun rises each morning in brilliance unmatched. No temple stands there, no walls or altars, only open stone, worn smooth by countless pilgrims who kneel to watch the first light strike the waves. Among his holy sites are relics said to carry his blessing. Some are simple, a chalice once used in dawn prayers, a robe worn by a saint of the Morninglord, a rose preserved against decay. Others are more wondrous. The golden lyre, said to play dawn hymns without touch. The ever-burning candle, which glows with light even in deepest night, never extinguished. The sunburst shield, a relic borne by champions of Lathander, said to blind undead with radiance. These relics are less about power and more about presence. To gaze upon them is to feel the certainty of renewal, the sense that dawn has been captured and made tangible. Many holy sites host great festivals tied to the seasons. On the first day of spring, temples across Faerûn hold the Festival of Renewal. Communities gather, planting seeds in temple gardens, singing as dawn breaks. Food and flowers are shared, and children are blessed with petals pressed gently against their foreheads. Another is the High Dawn, celebrated at midsummer. At this festival, entire congregations stay awake through the night, waiting in silence in anticipation for the sunrise. When it comes, music swells, bells ring, and the people dance in fields and courtyards, celebrating the triumph of light over darkness. Imagine now, you step into one such temple just as the sky begins to pale. The air is cool. The stones beneath your feet hold the chill of night. Around you, priests and villagers gather, their faces turned eastward. Slowly, The light grows. Stained glass begins to glow. Roses, suns, radiant paths unfolding across walls. A harp plays, soft and slow. The people murmur prayers. Then the first golden ray pierces the temple, striking the altar. The room glows. You feel warmth upon your face, a warmth that seems to sink into your heart. This is not only architecture, it is worship made stone and glass. It is the Morninglord's presence, captured in space, repeated every day. Wherever his temples rise, they are not monuments to grandeur, but sanctuaries of hope. Their purpose is not to make mortals fear the god, but to remind them of renewal, of beauty, of possibility. And in every holy site, great or small, one feels the same truth, that Lathander is not only in heavens far away, but in the sunlight spilling across the floor, in the roses blooming at the doorway, in the warmth rising upon the skin. The temples of the Morninglord are not just buildings, they are doorways into dawn. Not all who follow Lathander dwell in temples. Many walk roads, cross seas, and step into dangers where dawn seems very far away. Yet, even in caverns where no sun shines, or ruins where shadows cling, the Morninglord's presence is felt by those who carry him in their hearts. For adventurers, he is more than a distant god. He is companion, guide, and sometimes the only spark of hope in long, weary nights. For the wandering adventurer, renewal is not a concept but a necessity. Wounds are taken, companions fall, failures weigh heavy. To serve the Morninglord is to believe that no matter how many times one is broken, one may rise again. His clerics speak often of the gift of rest, that each dawn is a chance to recover strength, to learn from mistakes, to begin anew. Adventurers often carry this lesson deeply. The fighter who rises after defeat, the rogue who forgives themselves for a mistake, the wizard who dares another spell after failure. These are all small dawns, moments of Lathander's philosophy lived in action. Clerics of Lathander channel his light in practical ways, drawing upon spells of healing, vitality, and radiance. Cure wounds and healing word flow like morning light, knitting flesh and calming pain. Daylight bursts forth in caverns, scattering shadows where monsters lurk. Revivify and other spells of renewal bring the fallen back from the edge of death, the most literal dawn of all. In battle, guiding bolt streaks like a beam of dawn, striking foes with brilliance. To fight beside a cleric of Lathander is to feel that no matter how dark the dungeon, a piece of sunrise walks with you. Some adventurers dedicate their entire oath to the Morninglord, becoming paladins of renewal. These warriors carry shields shaped like sunbursts, swords inscribed with roses, and armor gilded with dawn motifs. But their true strength is not steel, but resolve. They speak often of the dawn within. Even in exhaustion, even when all seems lost, they kindle courage in themselves and in their companions. To march behind such a paladin is to feel that despair cannot take root. They embody Lathander's greatest lesson, that courage is contagious, and hope shines brighter when shared. It is not easy to follow Lathander on the road. His philosophy demands optimism, yet adventurers see horrors, villages burned, companions slain, corruption spreading. His followers are often tested more fiercely than others. Can hope survive in the Underdark, where no sun rises? Can renewal be believed in a world where death strikes swiftly and cruelly? Those who keep faith say yes. For to them, dawn is not only the sun in the sky, but the light that stirs within even when all else is shadow. They say, carry dawn within you and you will never walk in night. To serve Lathander as an adventurer often means confronting undead, for his faith abhors their mockery of the cycle. Many clerics carry turn undead as their sacred weapon, scattering skeletons and wraiths with a flash of radiance. To them, each destroyed abomination is not cruelty, but mercy, a release into the cycle of endings and beginnings. Yet his service is not only in battle. Adventurers devoted to him are often found blessing new villages, protecting caravans at their first journey, or guiding lost travelers toward safety. They are guardians of first steps, champions of beginnings. But they must also guard against zeal. Some faithful forget that dawn is gentle, not harsh. They may try to force renewal upon others, burning away traditions in the name of fresh starts. Such fervor risks repeating the errors of the dawn cataclysm, a reminder that renewal must be balanced with patience. Around campfires, tales of Lathander are often told softly, as reassurance. The story of the sleepless night is a favorite, reminding weary warriors that strength may return with dawn. The tale of the Rose of Renewal comforts those who have lost, teaching that beauty still blooms after grief. Some adventurers wear roses pinned to their cloaks, others carry sunburst medallions, kissing them each morning before drawing blade or spellbook. Even those who do not call themselves devout sometimes whisper a word to him before battle. Let dawn find me once more. Adventurers who serve him speak of subtle signs, a faint golden glow upon their weapon at sunrise, the scent of roses in the air before a battle, a sudden moment of clarity when despair threatened to overwhelm, the warmth of light, even underground, when courage stirs. Such moments are not grand miracles, but quiet reminders. Lathander walks with those who carry his dawn. Many of his faithful keep a short prayer, whispered each morning before setting forth. Morninglord, grant me the strength to rise once more. Grant me the courage to begin, though I fear. Grant me the light to see the path, though it is dark. And grant me the heart to share dawn with others. It is simple, but in the mouths of adventurers, it becomes a mantra, a rhythm of footsteps, a steadying breath, a reason to continue. For an adventurer, to live as Lathander teaches is not only to fight with Radiance, but to carry renewal into daily choices, to lift a weary companion, to encourage the fearful, to forgive oneself after failure, to plant seeds in burned villages, believing they will grow. Such acts are as holy as any spell, as radiant as any dawn. And so, in the wandering lives of adventurers, the Morninglord remains close. He is in the sunrise glimpsed between ruined walls. He is in the courage to lift sword again. He is in the laughter after despair. Wherever mortals rise again, however weary, he is there. There comes a time in every story, every life, when words grow quiet, the fire burns low, the sky deepens into night, and in that stillness we are left with reflection. So it is with the Morninglord. After temples, rituals, myths, and journeys, what remains is not only lore, but the gentle truth carried in the heart. What it means to walk with Lathander's light. To follow him is to believe in beginnings. This is not a belief in endless triumphs, nor in perfection, but in the courage to start again. Renewal is the courage of the child taking their first step, the artist setting brush to canvas, the widow planting seeds after grief. It is easy to think of dawn as a single moment, the sun rising over hills, the sky painted in gold. But Lathander teaches that renewal is not once, but constant. Every breath, every choice, every day is a chance to begin again. To hold this truth is to live without despair, for no failure is final, no ending absolute. The night may be long, but it always yields. Yet renewal does not deny endings. On the contrary, it embraces them. Just as night makes dawn meaningful, so endings make beginnings sacred. A flower must fade so another may bloom. A season must close for the next to rise. Even death is not a wall, but a threshold into another dawn. This is perhaps the hardest lesson, that endings are not our enemies, but companions. To walk with Lathander is to trust that what falls away nourishes what comes next, that every dusk is but the beginning of another sunrise unseen. Lathander's light shines brightest in acts of creation. To create is to participate in dawn, to bring into the world something that was not there before. Whether it is a song, a poem, a garden, or a simple smile offered to a stranger, creation is renewal in action. To worship him is not only to kneel in prayer, but to live as an artist of life, to shape each day like clay, to weave kindness like thread, to paint hope upon the canvas of the world. Above all, he teaches hope, not blind optimism, nor denial of pain, but a steady trust that no matter how deep the night, the light will return. Hope is not naive, it is resilient. It is the farmer sowing seeds though storms may come. It is the soldier laying down arms, believing peace can bloom. It is the child laughing in streets scarred by war. To walk with Lathander is to carry that hope fragile, yes, but radiant, and to offer it to others, especially when they cannot hold it themselves. The Morninglord does not demand grandeur. He does not ask for thrones, armies, or empires. He asks only this, that we rise each day with willingness to begin, to create, to forgive, to hope. In practice, this means simple things: to lift a fallen friend, to plant flowers in poor soil, to greet strangers with kindness, to forgive oneself for yesterday's mistakes. These are small dawns, quiet renewals that ripple outward in ways unseen. In living this way, we become, in our own measure, little dawns to others. We become the light they need, the warmth that stirs them, the courage that helps them rise. Perhaps the greatest truth is that Lathander's light is not far away. It is not locked in the heavens, nor only in temples. It is within us. Each time we begin again, each time we hope, each time we create, his dawn rises through us. This is why his priests often say, "Carry dawn within you," for to do so is to walk not only under his light, but as his light. And so, as we sit now in quiet, let us imagine the horizon softens, the first pale light appears, birds stir, grass glimmers with dew, the sky glows gold and rose, the sun crests, slow and steady, and warmth touches your skin. You breathe deeply. You are here. This is Lathander. Not only in the sky, not only in myth, but here in breath, in hope, in renewal. Whatever has passed is behind you. Whatever is to come will rise in time. In this moment, you are dawn. May your burdens fade with night. May your heart lighten with morning. May you rise again and again, as the sun does. And may the Morninglord walk beside you, always.